My fiancé's mom demanded I pay $12,000 for all she did for her. My fiancé warned, no payment, no wedding. I calmly said, sure, let me grab my checkbook. Instead, I canceled the venue and sent her a snap of me and my friends laughing at a pub. Her frantic calls went straight to voicemail. I'm 30, and until about 6 weeks ago, I thought I was going to marry the woman I'd been with for 3 years. Her name was Olivia. We met at a charity run, bonded over terrible training schedules and worse-running playlists, and things progressed naturally from there. She was smart, funny, had a good career in HR. We moved in together after a year and a half, got engaged 8 months ago. The wedding was set for next month, invitations sent, venue booked, deposits paid, everything was falling into place. Or so I thought. The first red flag should have been Olivia's mother, Carol. From the moment I met her, Carol treated me like a walking ATM. Every conversation somehow circled back to money. How much did I make? What kind of retirement plan did I have? Was I planning to buy Olivia a bigger ring eventually? I brushed it off initially, figured she was just protective of her daughter. But it got worse after we got engaged. Carol started inserting herself into every wedding decision. She wanted an expensive venue we couldn't afford, a designer dress that cost more than my car, a guest list that ballooned from 75 people to nearly 200. When Olivia and I pushed back, Carol would guilt-trip her. I've sacrificed so much for you. Don't I deserve to see my only daughter have a proper wedding? Olivia would cave every time, and I'd absorb the cost. The wedding budget, which we'd originally agreed to split, became almost entirely my responsibility. Olivia would say her mom was helping with planning, which apparently meant she didn't need to contribute financially. I was already paying for the venue, the catering, the photographer, the band. I'd drained most of my savings and taken out a small loan to cover it all. But I loved Olivia. I thought once we were married, things would settle. We'd be a team. Her mom would back off. I was wrong. 3 weeks before the wedding, Carol invited us to dinner at her house. She said she wanted to talk about final details. I should have known something was off when Olivia seemed nervous on the drive over, kept fidgeting with her phone, wouldn't look me in the eye. We sat down in Carol's dining room. She'd made pot roast, which would have been nice if the entire meal hadn't been laced with passive-aggressive comments about how much she'd done for Olivia over the years, how she'd sacrificed her own dreams to raise her, how she'd worked 2 jobs to put her through college, how Olivia owed her everything. I nodded politely, trying to finish my food quickly so we could leave. Then Carol dropped the bomb. I've been thinking, she said, setting down her fork and looking directly at me. I've done so much for Olivia. Raised her, supported her, helped plan this wedding. I think it's only fair that I'm compensated for all that effort. I blinked. Compensated? Yes. I've calculated everything I've spent on Olivia over the years. Clothes, school supplies, activities, college tuition. It comes to about $12,000 that I'm still owed. I stared at her. You want me to pay you $12,000 for raising your own daughter? It's only fair. You're benefiting from all the work I put into making her the woman she is today. I looked at Olivia, waiting for her to tell her mom this was insane. She wouldn't meet my eyes. Olivia? I said. She took a deep breath. I think Mom has a point. She did do a lot for me. She's your mother. That's what parents do. But she's asking for help now. And if we're getting married, we should support family. Support family? Olivia, we're already drowning in wedding debt because of your mom's demands. I've maxed out my savings. Now she wants $12,000 for... What? Parenting? Carol's expression hardened. If you're not willing to honor what I've done for this family, maybe you're not the right man for my daughter. Olivia looked at me, and I saw something in her face that made my stomach drop. She was on her mom's side. No payment, no wedding, Olivia said quietly. I sat there for a moment, processing. Then I smiled, calmly, coldly. "Sure," I said. "Let me grab my checkbook." Update 1, I left Carol's house without another word. Drove home in silence while Olivia tried to justify what had just happened. "She's just asking for help. It's not that much money. We can make payments." I didn't respond, just kept driving, mind racing. When we got home, Olivia went to bed. I stayed up, sitting on the couch, thinking. By 3 a.m., I'd made a decision. The next morning, I called the wedding venue, explained that I needed to cancel. The coordinator was sympathetic but firm. Cancellations this close to the date meant forfeiting the deposit, about $4,000. I told her I understood. Cancel it anyway. Then I called the caterer. Canceled. Photographer canceled. Band canceled. Florist canceled. I spent the entire morning systematically dismantling the wedding, losing money on deposits, not caring. By noon, there was no wedding to speak of. Olivia was at work. I texted her, "We need to talk tonight." She replied, "About the payment? I'm sure we can figure something out." I didn't respond. That evening, instead of going home, I went to a pub near my office. Called up 3 of my closest friends, guys who'd been groomsmen, who'd listened to me stress about the wedding for months. Told them what happened. They were furious on my behalf. "Dude, you dodged a bullet," my friend Tom said. "I know," I replied, "but I'm still pissed." "So what are you gonna do?" I pulled out my phone, opened Snapchat, and took a video of the 4 of us laughing, beers in hand, clearly having a great time. Captioned it, "When you realize you don't need a wedding to be happy." I sent it directly to Olivia. Then I blocked her number and turned off my phone. Update 2. I didn't turn my phone back on until the next morning. When I did, I had 43 missed calls, 32 from Olivia, 11 from Carol, dozens of texts, all variations of "call me" and "what did you do" and "this isn't funny." I deleted them all without reading most of them. Then I called my landlord. Olivia and I had been living together in my apartment, my name on the lease, not hers. I explained that I needed to remove her from the premises. He said I'd need to give her 30 days notice legally, but if she voluntarily left, that would be easier. I packed all of Olivia's stuff that day. Clothes, toiletries, books, everything. Put it in boxes, stacked them neatly by the door. Then I changed the locks. Texted her from a new number. "Your things are outside the apartment. You have until 6 p.m. to pick them up, or I'm donating them." She showed up at 5:30, Carol in tow. I watched from the window as they loaded boxes into Carol's car, Olivia crying, Carol looking furious. They rang the buzzer. I didn't answer. That evening, Olivia's best friend, Emma, called me. Emma and I had always gotten along well. She was one of the few people in Olivia's life who seemed to see through Carol's manipulation. "I heard what happened," Emma said. "I just want you to know, I think you did the right thing. Thanks." Olivia's been calling me nonstop. She's devastated. Says she didn't think you'd actually cancel the wedding. She gave me an ultimatum. I called her bluff. It wasn't a bluff. She really thought you'd pay. Then she doesn't know me at all. Emma sighed. For what it's worth, Carol's been controlling Olivia her whole life. I don't think Olivia even realizes how messed up this is. That's not my problem anymore. I know. I just wanted you to know that not everyone thinks you're the bad guy here. I appreciate that. We talked for a bit longer. Emma told me that Carol had a history of financial manipulation, that she'd driven away Olivia's father years ago with similar demands, that Olivia's older brother had cut contact with Carol entirely because of her constant money schemes. I listened, processing, realizing just how deep this dysfunction ran. Update 3. A week later, I got a call from an unknown number. Against my better judgment, I answered. "This is Harold, Carol's husband. Olivia's stepdad." I'd met Harold a handful of times. Quiet guy, kept to himself, always seemed uncomfortable around Carol's dramatics. "What do you want?" I asked. I wanted to apologize. For Carol. For Olivia. What they did to you was wrong. I was surprised. You know about the $12,000? I found out after you left. Carol told me like it was a brilliant plan. I told her she was insane. We've been fighting about it ever since. Why are you calling me? Because I want you to know that not everyone in this family is crazy. And because I think you should know something. What? Carol's been in debt for years. Credit cards, personal loans, all of it. She's been using Olivia to try to get money out of people. You're not the first boyfriend she's tried this on. My blood ran cold. What? Olivia's last serious relationship ended because Carol convinced her to ask him for money for some made-up family emergency. When he found out it was a lie, he left. Carol learned from that. This time, she framed it as compensation to make it sound legitimate. And Olivia went along with it? Olivia's been conditioned to go along with whatever Carol says. She doesn't know how to stand up to her. I've tried to help, but... He trailed off. Anyway, I just thought you should know you weren't crazy. This whole thing was a setup. Thanks for telling me. Good luck. You seem like a decent guy. You deserve better. After that call, I felt a weird mix of vindication and sadness. Vindication because I wasn't wrong to walk away. Sadness because Olivia was so deep in her mother's manipulation that she couldn't see how toxic it was. But mostly, I felt relief. Relief that I'd escaped before legally tying myself to that family. Update 4. 2 weeks after Harold's call, something unexpected happened. I got a letter in the mail from Olivia. It was handwritten, 3 pages long. In it, she apologized, said she'd been doing a lot of thinking since I left, said Emma and Harold had both talked to her about how unhealthy her relationship with her mother was, said she'd started seeing a therapist who was helping her understand the manipulation she'd been subjected to her whole life. She didn't ask me to take her back, she just said she was sorry, that she understood why I left, that she didn't blame me, that she hoped I could forgive her someday, even if we never spoke again. I read that letter 3 times, and I felt nothing. Not anger, not sadness, not longing. Just a quiet acknowledgement that this chapter was closed. I didn't write back. There was nothing to say. Apologies are nice, but they don't undo the damage. They don't give me back the savings I lost, the emotional energy I wasted, the future I thought I was building. I threw the letter away and moved on. Final update. It's been 3 months since I called off the wedding. 3 months since I walked away from Olivia and her toxic family, and I can honestly say I've never felt better. I moved into a new apartment, a 1-bedroom place closer to my office. It's smaller than the place Olivia and I shared, but it's mine. I decorated it exactly how I wanted, no compromises. Bought a new couch, new TV, filled the walls with art I actually like. It feels like home in a way the old place never did. I reconnected with friends I'd been neglecting during the wedding planning chaos. Started going to the gym regularly again, picked up hobbies I'd dropped, photography, hiking, reading. I even adopted a dog, a rescue mutt named Cooper who greets me at the door every day with more enthusiasm than Olivia ever showed. Work's been good. I got a promotion last month, which came with a nice raise. I've been rebuilding my savings, paying off that wedding loan, getting my finances back on track. Turns out when you're not hemorrhaging money to satisfy someone else's mother, you can actually build wealth. I've been on a few dates. Nothing serious yet, but I'm not rushing. I'm learning to enjoy my own company, to be comfortable being single, and I'm paying much closer attention to red flags now. If someone's family seems overly involved in our relationship, if someone can't set boundaries with their parents, if someone expects me to bankroll their life, I'm out. No second chances. Through mutual friends, I've heard bits and pieces about what happened to Olivia and Carol. Apparently, Harold did leave Carol. He filed for divorce about a month after I canceled the wedding. Without his income, Carol's been struggling financially. She had to sell her house, moved into a smaller apartment. Olivia moved back in with her, and from what Emma told me, it's been a disaster. They're constantly fighting about money, about the past, about everything. Emma said Olivia's still in therapy, trying to work through years of manipulation and codependency. I'm glad she's getting help, genuinely. But I also know that's not my journey to take with her. She has to do that work on her own. Carol, meanwhile, has been telling everyone who'll listen that I'm a terrible person who abandoned her daughter. She's painted herself as the victim, me as the villain. I don't care. The people who actually know me know the truth. And the people who believe Carol's version without asking questions aren't people I need in my life anyway. Last week, I ran into Olivia at a grocery store. We made eye contact across the produce section. She looked tired, older somehow. She gave me a small, sad smile. I nodded politely and kept walking. We didn't speak. There was nothing left to say. People have asked me if I have any regrets about how I handled everything, if I should have tried harder to make it work, or been more understanding about Olivia's situation, or given her a second chance after her apology letter. My answer is always the same. No. I don't regret protecting myself. I don't regret refusing to be extorted. I don't regret walking away from a relationship where I was valued less than $12,000. I don't regret choosing my own peace over someone else's dysfunction. Could I have handled some things differently? Maybe. Could I have been more communicative before it all blew up? Possibly. But at the end of the day, Olivia made a choice. When her mother demanded $12,000 and threatened our wedding if I didn't pay, Olivia sided with her mother. She chose money over me. She chose manipulation over honesty. She chose her toxic family dynamic over our partnership. And I chose myself. That pub photo I sent her that night? I still have it saved on my phone. Not because I wanted to hurt her, I'm not that petty, but because it represents the moment I took my life back. The moment I refused to be bullied or manipulated. The moment I realized I didn't need a wedding or a relationship built on ultimatums to be happy. I just needed to walk away. And I did. Some people think I'm cold for how quickly I moved on, for how decisively I ended things. But here's what they don't understand. I didn't move on quickly. I'd been watching that relationship deteriorate for months. I'd been absorbing Carol's manipulation, Olivia's inability to stand up to her, the constant financial pressure. By the time that dinner happened, I was already emotionally checked out. The $12,000 demand was just the final straw. I'm not heartless. I'm just someone who knows his worth. And my worth isn't measured in how much money I'm willing to hand over to keep someone's toxic mother happy. I'm 30 years old. I have my whole life ahead of me. I have a good job, good friends, a great dog, and a future full of possibilities. I'm not going to waste another second mourning a relationship that was built on dysfunction. Olivia taught me what I won't tolerate. Financial manipulation, emotional blackmail, a partner who won't stand up for us against outside pressure. And I'm grateful for that lesson, even if it came at a cost. But I'm done paying. In every sense of the word. I'm building a life now that's mine. On my terms. With people who respect me, who value me for who I am, rather than what I can provide financially. And honestly, I've never felt freer. So no, I don't regret canceling that wedding. I don't regret sending that Snapchat. I don't regret blocking Olivia's calls or packing her things or refusing to engage with her apology. I regret nothing, because I chose myself, and that's the best decision I've ever made. Edit. A lot of people are asking if I tried to get my deposits back or sue Carol for emotional distress. I didn't. The money's gone, and honestly, I consider it a cheap price to pay for escaping that situation. As for suing, I just wanted to move on. Dragging it out in court would have kept me tied to them longer. Sometimes the best revenge is just living well. Edit 2. For those wondering if Olivia ever fully realized what she did wrong, according to Emma, yes, eventually. But by the time she did, I'd already moved on. I'm glad she's working on herself, but that doesn't mean I need to be part of her journey. She chose her mother over me when it mattered. That's all I need to know.